Hey y'all, I'm Brooke Hoover, a Louisiana native, actor, writer, and comedian. I've lost 100 pounds through diet and exercise, or shall I say, lifestyle changes. My 20-year and counting health journey has taught me that just like taking a diet pill for weight loss, body positivity doesn't magically happen overnight. I'm working on regaining my self-esteem and rekindling my love affair with Cajun and Southern comfort food in a healthier way, all the while juggling eating as clean as I can, reestablishing myself in the entertainment industry, which, as we know, is historically fat-phobic, all the while showing my inner fat girl some love. That's fat with a PH. Pretty hot and tempting. Let me tell y'all a tale or two. Thanks so much for listening, y'all. Today we have a special guest. It is my dad, Hoover Bob. Say what up to everybody.
What up, guys?
What up, guys? And to get started, because we like to talk about food, we talk about health and wellness, all that kind of stuff. And we even talk about comfort foods and foods oftentimes that are bad for you. So I know you're diabetic, you're on a health journey yourself, but to get started, it does not have to be a healthy food. What is one of your favorite foods?
Apple pie.
Apple pie, that's right. It's a recipe, a church lady recipe, a recipe that Mama Fern, Dad's mom made, and it is a staple in our household. But I must say it is not a sugarless apple pie. The church ladies claim for it to be sugarless, but it's really no sugar added because you're not adding white or brown sugar. But there is, I do have to let my dad know there's a lot of sugar in that frozen apple juice concentrate that you do pour into there. You do know that, right, Dad?
Well, you use a third of a cup of that.
A third of a cup of that. Okay.
Apple juice. It's a small amount.
So how much sugar do you think is in a third a cup of frozen apple juice concentrate?
I have no idea.
I would estimate, so a third, we're just using a third a cup?
Yes.
Oh, that's BS. I thought we used the whole can.
No.
Okay, so in that case, maybe combined with the apples, I would say maybe that's like 20 grams of sugar, which is still a lot if you were really, really, really watching your sugars, but not a lot if you want to indulge in apple pie, because there's nothing quite like apple pie, right?
That's correct.
That's correct. Now,
and it's more tart than a regular apple pie.
Exactly. Yeah, we should mention that when we do make our pies, we also like to make cherry pie. We don't add sugar. We like the tartness or the fruitness. We like the flavor from the fruit. So, Dad, what's one of your favorite Louisiana foods?
Chicken and sausage gumbo.
Chicken and sausage gumbo. All right. I'm more of a seafood gumbo fan myself, just because sometimes chicken can be a little freaky for me, you know, especially if some people put bones in it. You know, you've ever seen people put bones in the chicken gumbo?
No.
I have. They may have been based out of Mamu, you know, those crazy people who chase the chickens on horseback. I can't deal with that. So I have weird issues with chicken and sausage gumbo. I'd rather just do the sausage, or I'd rather just do the seafood, hold the oysters. But that's my personal thing. So do you have a favorite food memory with me that you and I have shared? I know we tend to beast and eat a lot of foods, and I harp on you about eating healthy, usually while we're beasting on food, ironically. But what is a favorite food memory you might have with me?
My birthday cake, red velvet cake every year. You make it yourself.
I do, and the last time I made it for you was before the pandemic, 2019, and it was a keto red velvet, and I had to shop online for every single ingredient, but I think it was pretty darn good.
It was outstanding.
Yeah, and one year I went crazy. I tried to make a bûche de Noël, which is like the roll king cake. The roll red velvet cake, and that did not come out so great, but cool. All right. So ironically, one of my favorite food memories with you is, I believe it was the first summer that you and Mama had gotten divorced, but you came up for my birthday. We used to go to North Carolina every summer, and we rented a party barge, like a double-decker, and you were able to jump from the top deck into the lake. And we went out on Lake Glenville, and you made me a birthday cake at Miss Sarah's house. You stayed at Miss Sarah and Father Wally's house, and he made me a birthday cake, y'all, and he decorated it himself with sunflowers all over it. And Miss Sarah, I believe, took a picture. I didn't take a picture because this was back in the day when you lived an experience and you actually weren't taking pictures for your Instagram feed, but it was a really cool cake. I don't know if you remember that or not.
I do.
You do? Yeah, those sunflowers, like, they were almost like Van Gogh-esque, They were. So I wonder, do I get my artistic abilities from you or from Mom?
Your mama.
Oh, well, that was a quick answer. So I need to lead Bob into...
You get your randomness from me.
Okay, there we go. See, I'm trying to lead him into talking a little bit more. I think he's afraid to talk too much because I told him he can't say or pause or be too slow, because we do like to keep it moving on here. We want to engage our listeners and our viewers and not make people get bored. So talk to me about, Dad, did you have any issues growing up, like as far as childhood? Like, my issues were that I was flat-footed and overweight and frizzy-haired, and I got made fun of for all three of those. How was childhood like growing up for you?
Well, when I was real young, until I got up about 15 or 16, I was usually the smallest guy on the baseball team, the football team. I had to work extra hard to get on the junior high football team, and I had to, do two bigger guys, and I had to get through them in the line and prove that I could get around those bigger guys than me, and then I got picked for the football team, but I had to work hard to get to it.
Hey, well, did you ever have any, there's a difference between men and women with body image issues, but I think at the root of it, we're all people, and we all have a heart and feelings, and we all experience feelings, but maybe just in different ways. But did you feel, how did you feel about that emotionally? Did you just kind of just brush it off and say, screw them, I'm joining this football team? Or did it ever eat at you in any way?
No, I just said I'm going to fight, and I was always a fighter because I was always the younger brother of a brother 2 years older, and I was always having to fight because I was smaller than the other guys in my class.
Yeah.
And so I was a fighter and not anything else, and I just kept my tenacity up. That's
Word.
all.
I guess I get a little bit of that from you. I am a fighter, but I also do still get my feelings hurt, and I turn into a beast. And usually the beast I become is the beast within myself, but I think that's for a different podcast. Something else that we talk about a lot is exercise. That I just had a podcast episode recently talking about exercise. And I know you are the type, you've always liked to do things outdoors. You taught me how to play tennis. We used to do whitewater rafting. So, and you're talking about how you used to play sports. So right now, what are some exercises? What's your exercise regime?
Well, every day my dog walks me 2 or 3 times a day, unless it's too brutally hot for both of us in Louisiana. And Latte has been doing that for over 3 years now, and it's keeping me healthy since I had some surgery, and keeping me from gaining weight, and keeping me heart healthy and lung healthy, etc. And I also do a Qigong class. Qigong, excuse me, I'm saying it wrong. That you turned me on to your acupuncturist, Aaron Kumpf, up here, and I do it on the Zoom.
We'll share the website. Yeah, we'll share her website.
Once a week.
In the comments, we'll share Erin's website. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. But yes, I will post that because Erin's class has been very helpful for my dad, and Qigong is just wonderful. I need to do it more. But it is on Tuesday mornings, but it's going to shift to Friday mornings. So that might be more accommodating to people.
It's about 45 minutes, and it's not just exercise. You do things that make you chill and slow your body down, and it's just that type of Chinese exercise is just really relaxing and still gives you the exercise.
Yeah,
okay?
I would say it's like you're feeling the flow. Like your mind is calm, but your body is active, but it's definitely not high impact or anything like that. So those of you who are familiar with Tai Chi, you're definitely familiar with Qigong. We recommend it. So I should let y'all know that my dad, he developed diabetes type 2 when he had a brain aneurysm. So Dad, we like to keep our episodes under 25 minutes. So if you could give us the short version of how you developed diabetes through your aneurysm. and I should let everybody know this is a brain aneurysm, and the percentage of you even surviving that was very, very low.
Yeah, about 10%.
So he's a 10%er, as in one of the 10% who survived. But tell people, you survived the brain aneurysm, but you did develop this chronic condition that people obviously know about, but I think people aren't quite aware of how damaging diabetes can be.
Well, my family doctor is the one that found the high blood sugar levels, and he sent me to an endocrinologist in Baton Rouge, and I didn't realize it because I have no family history of diabetes, that it could come, he told me, either from a brain aneurysm or not a brain aneurysm, but a brain trauma or an extended brain surgery like an aneurysm or any other kind of brain surgery where you're under anesthesia for a long period of time.
So basically your doctor said it's from either or, brain trauma, brain surgery, you had both. So all signs point to you developed diabetes type 2, which is AKA diabetes mellitus in this case. Is that right? Sorry. What's
diabetes
it called?
insipidus.
Sorry, it's called diabetes insipidus if you develop it from a brain situation.
Treat it like type 2, though.
Type 2. Okay, so a scary episode happened. So my dad has been managing his diabetes with medicine, and as of late, more so with diet and exercise. But we had a scary moment. Thank God it was the year before the pandemic. So it was April of 2019. He calls me up, and he was at his doctor's office. And what did you tell me? Try to stay in focus, Dad.
And the doctor had told me I needed to be at the hospital, check in that evening, and they were going to do surgery the next day.
Yeah, so they basically had to cut his... Right. So we do have to fill people in because it's a podcast. You have to elaborate. He basically had a sore on his toe. Now, which toe was it?
It was the second toe on the left foot. It wasn't a sore. It was the skin sloughing off.
Ew. So this is a problem that a lot of diabetics can experience is foot issues. That's why you'll see diabetic socks, diabetic shoes, foot care for diabetics, because that toe wound, that toe skin, if it doesn't heal, you're going to lose a toe. And some people, I have heard jokes about it. At this point, we do joke about it, right, a little bit, but not too much because what can we do but laugh? But that diabetics will, have several missing toes. Thank God you could still walk. Thank God it's a toe where you've trained yourself to walk. And on that note of walking, my biggest question to the doctors, and that you have to still question yourself, hopefully you'll leave today thinking of this. How do I prevent myself from losing another damn toe? And the doctors didn't really have an answer for me or for you. And I said, Dad, your best bet, you've really got to jam it up with the diet and exercise.
I got to keep my sugars low by doing just what you said, diet and exercise.
Yeah, because I said you can't rely on the medicines alone. Yes, you're on medicine. You're on a lot of medicine, but you're also on a lot of herbs and stuff because the medicine alone, okay, it can only work so hard, I think he's getting a little frustrated with me, but...
No, I understand that.
But he did say the walking regime he was talking about earlier is because of his toes. So thank God he's able to walk perfectly fine.
I've seen drops in my sugar levels, particularly in the afternoon, to where it's normal after an hour or so after I walked a good walk with my dog, Latte, and I credit her for doing that, and it drops my sugar back into the normal level.
Okay, so you mean drops it back into the normal level. Does your sugar ever get out of check?
Sometimes.
And does. What do you do, being that you're diabetic type 2? What do you do?
You just got to watch what you're eating and be a little more careful about what you're eating. And I'm doing plenty of exercise, but you just got to make sure you do plenty of exercise.
So have you noticed a pattern, or have you maybe started a food journal, or there's many apps you can use to try to train your mind and your body to not be eating the things that are maybe making your sugar spike a little bit?
I've had it long enough. I know what not to eat and what to stay away from. And so if I see a sugar spike, then I'm going to go back to some very basic things that will, food wise, that'll help control the diabetes. Even if I get a spike one day, I make sure I don't do the same thing again.
So give me an example, because I feel like you're being a little like cool about it, because I should say something that I do harp on my dad. And I harp on you because I love you. And I can come across as a little domineering, but it's because I'm passionate about this, but also because I worry about you. Can you give an example to people, because we're trying to help people here? What is a food that might offset and make your sugar spike? Give us a few examples.
Well, there's a bunch of different things, but
that you have eaten specifically in South Louisiana, specifically, maybe.
Certain Cajun stuff, like trying to think of it, crawfish etouffees, believe it or not, and the other types of dishes like that. Some of them have a certain amount of sugar in them from whatever, the rice or whatever, and you got to watch the rice and other things like that. But those are the kind of things that can, particularly if you're cooking from somebody other than yourself, like in a restaurant.
Yes. All right. So newsflash, my dad loves to go out to eat every single day. He goes to Brewbacher's. He swears to me that he usually will get salmon and steamed vegetables. I live 1,300 miles away from him, so I can only trust that. I mean, I do believe people can indulge, but I believe if you're diabetic and you're over 70, you got to be a little bit more careful about that indulging. I think the crawfish etouffee can offset you, because that's a lot of carbohydrates, right? So
and carbohydrates
turn to sugar.
But you have to understand that my A1Cs, since I had that toe removal a little over 3 years ago, my A1Cs have been outstanding.
Yes. So tell us what your A1Cs have been, and tell us what a good A1C is, and tell us what a not so good A1C is.
Above 8 is a high A1C.
Above 8.
And mine, the last A1C I had in March of this year, 2022, was 6.2, and that's perfectly normal. Before that, every other one I had was below 6, slightly below 6. And actually, if you could keep it between 6 and 7, they would be very happy.
That's great. And he walks, how many miles a day would you say that you and Latte do end up walking?
Latte and I walk about 20 minutes 3 times a day, unless it's really hot, and then it's only going to be 2 times. So either, if it's 2 times, you're looking at about 40 minutes. If it's 3 times, you're looking at an hour of walking a day.
So at least a couple miles a day. And this is even in the Louisiana heat, y'all. I mean, it gets super hot back home.
It's actually more than in 20 minutes. She and I can walk about, even if I have to slow down for her here and there, but a mile and a quarter each time. So you're looking at roughly 3
miles almost. Yeah.
2.5 to 3 miles is a good estimate.
That's great. And so to anybody listening out there who might be having, issues with their health, maybe they have diabetes, or they just have pre-diabetes, or they're concerned about their blood sugars. You've been living with diabetes for decades at this point now. Do you have any advice for them? Be it, tangible tips or even some emotional support you can offer?
Well, do what the doctors tell you to do as far as the diabetic nurse turned me on to diabetic diets, and you helped me find some diabetic diets online when I first started, and you gave me some good suggestions. And the other thing that is a big thing is look at the labels on the food products.
Yeah, I read labels on food products every single day. Yeah.
I mean, that's critical.
Yeah. That's true. Well, Dad, I was hoping let's end this with some sort of emotional support or some wrap up that you could tell people, something hopeful, not just to our diabetic listeners out there, but to anybody who might be on their own health or physical or mental health journey. What's some sort of parting words you have to say with over 70 years of wisdom here, Hoover Bob?
Well, you just have to be thankful that you've had some, like I have, some really outstanding physicians who have done their job, and support from people like my daughter. And
there we go. I was wanting some kudos.
Her mom
Anne,
who is, we've been divorced a long time, but support from her and from friends of mine and other people that I know who don't want me to have to go through the issues that I've been through before.
Yeah, that's right. So thanks so much for being on the podcast today, Dad. I know this is very rare, and grateful to have you up here in the Jersey City, New York City neck of the woods. So I really appreciate you being on the podcast and letting me pick your brain and harp on you. I don't know if you're happy to have been on here. You do look like you're a little frustrated with me, or maybe you're just a little hot because we had to turn off the fans.
I'm probably just a little hot. I'm not frustrated with you, but go Tigers.
All right, go Tigers. Thanks so much for listening, y'all. Be good. Bye. You want to tell them bye?
Later, Gators.
Thanks so much for listening, y'all. It is my hope to inspire, uplift, and entertain you with this Who's Dat Fat Girl podcast. So, if you're hungry for more, you can book me to speak or perform my solo show that inspired this podcast, Fat Girl Costumes, written by yours truly and directed by Brian Lady at your virtual or in-person event. Please visit brookehoover.com/fluffybuttproductions or email me at contactbrookhoover@gmail.com for more info. And let's follow each other on Instagram. I'm at Brooke Hoover, and the O's in my name are not the letter O, they're zeros. Not because I want to be a size 0, but because I guess I'm just so clever with my late 90s Yahoo self. And if you like this podcast, which I really hope you do, please give me a 5-star rating and write a review on Apple Podcasts. And most importantly, share this with your friends, family, and other people you may know who are as fat as we are. That's fat with a PH.